Today we're going to be taking a look at 40765 Kamino Training Facility. This set is 2025's May 4th GWP, containing 190 pieces, and the threshold to get this set was $160, meaning that if you spent at least $160 on LEGO Star Wars sets from a LEGO store or LEGO.com in between May 1st and May 5th, you would get this set included with your order for free. Regardless though, as you can tell, this is definitely one of the most unique GWPs we've ever gotten. I mean, this is clearly a pretty niche set with the clone cadets and a not so recognizable build, and because it's pretty niche, I actually think it works better as a GWP than the one from last year did, but I'll talk about that more here in a minute. On the back of the box, you're going to find another angle of the set showcasing all of the play features, and then opening up the box and digging in, on the inside you're going to find just 2 numbered bags as well as your instruction manual. Here we have the clone cadets, the first time LEGO has ever made these guys, and let me tell you, they look really good. There's not a whole lot going on because their outfits are pretty simple, but LEGO actually went the extra mile on these. They have printed arms and dual molded legs, and while the face print along with the printing on the torso and the back definitely isn't the most exciting, I'm just happy that LEGO actually went all the way with this figure and did all the detail they possibly could and made them as accurate as possible, because they definitely don't do that much anymore. However, as good as these guys are, I have seen a few people online talking about how these are the clone cadets sleeping outfits and not their training outfits, and every time I saw comments about this, I would always just kind of brush it off because I'd be like, well, the set is based off episode 2, we didn't see them in their training outfits in episode 2, we only saw them in these red outfits. However, then I look at the box and it is called Kamino Training Facility, and we never saw them training in episode 2. We only saw that in the Clone Wars, and we also didn't see any of these side builds in episode 2, like the gun rack or the cannon tower. So that does make me think that, yeah, maybe this set actually kind of is based off the Clone Wars, and it does actually give some validity to the argument that this isn't technically 100% accurate, because these are their wrong outfits. These are their sleeping outfits and not their training outfits that we see in the Clone Wars. But despite these technically being the wrong outfits, they are accurate to what they are supposed to be based off of. Now taking a look at the actual builds of this set, first up here we have the gun rack, and this is just a very simple build that has an extra rifle on it, as you can see, but it is cool that it's included. You can post a clone trooper up next to it with his guns on the rack. And then here we have the tower with the cannons on it, and this is super simple. I honestly wish they put a bit more effort into this. The top can spin, as you can see here, which is pretty cool, but the build itself looks like it came from the early 2000s, and I wish there was just a tad bit more effort put into this. And then here we had the main build being the Kaminoan Enforcer ship, and I'm not gonna lie, unlike the other builds, this looks pretty cool. Like I mentioned earlier, it's clearly a very niche ship. I don't think the average person is going to recognize this, but regardless, I still think it looks pretty interesting. The shaping around the top, or the cockpit, or the head, whatever you want to call it, is nice. There's also some engines on the back, and then these thrusters on the side that can actually rotate around and kind of lock into position if you want to display it in different ways. And then this long piece on the bottom can fold down to where it's completely straight, and this is how the ship is supposed to look. I mean, this is how it looks in episode 2. This is its flying position, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty cool like this. I think this ship itself just has a pretty intriguing design compared to a lot of other ships in Star Wars, and that just translates well to a LEGO set. However, clearly you can't stand it up like this, so that's why it bends in half, so you can have a way to sit it down. And you can actually open up this cockpit. There's really not much of an interior. There's nothing really going on the inside, but obviously if you want to, you can grab one of your clone troopers and stand him up in here and fold the cockpit back up. And that's really all there is to see with this set, just one main build and 2 very simple side builds. However, like I mentioned earlier, I do want to compare it to last year's GWP, which objectively is a way better set. I mean, this droid carrier looks a lot cooler, it's way more intriguing, it's a more popular vehicle, and because of all those things, I mean, I've said this time and time again, but I think this should have been a normal set. If this was a $30 set last year, it would have flown off the shelves, the community would have loved this thing. However, LEGO decided to make it a GWP, and I just don't think that was the move, because this would have been very popular as a normal set, and that's why I think this Kamino set works better as a GWP. It's really not the better set. I mean, I think a lot of people can agree with me on that. The droid carrier is just a little bit cooler. However, it's more niche, less recognizable figures, less recognizable ship, and because of that, it wouldn't have worked as a normal set, unlike the droid carrier. But it really just comes down to what floats your boat. If you're someone that usually spends enough money to get these GWPs, I'm sure you don't care that this droid carrier had a $160 threshold, but if you're someone that doesn't spend so much money to get GWPs, I'm sure you probably wish this droid carrier was a normal set. Anyways though, back to just this Kamino set, like I mentioned earlier, I do actually think there is some validity to the argument that these clone troopers are in their wrong outfits, and also I think that tower build is really basic and could be a tad bit better. So because of those 2 things, I'm just going to take off 1 point and give it a 9 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think about this May 4th promo down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more videos, you see on the screen right now.